happy. Getting ready to start the peak performance. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Savvy Sales Lady Live. Today, we are talking about keep your language clean. So clean up your language, everyone. Yep, that's what we're talking about today. And let me get my notes up here real quick. So, in selling, what's our main goal, right? It's to solve problems for the prospect. But also, a key component to solving the problem is being able to get that initial appointment so you can start the process of solving the problem, correct? So you have to make your call interesting enough to compel the buyer to want to listen. Part of, well, a way you can do that is by cleaning up your language. So, speaking clearly and articulating words will only enhance our sales conversation and cold calling. So let's talk about that, how to clean up your language and how to speak in more lovely ways. Now, British people speak beautifully. You know, I've had Simon White on my show many times. He's from the UK, and I have received so many comments from people about Simon and how they just love to listen to him. Not only does Simon speak beautifully, but he articulates and enunciates his words as well. So if you remember the musical My Fair Lady with Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison back in the day, right? So if you've never seen it, it's about this Professor Higgins, which is Rex Harrison, is challenged by a friend to take this poor urchin off the street, Audrey Hepburn, and transform her into an elegant lady that would be able to be passed off as royalty at an upcoming British affair. That's what My Fair Lady is all about, because Audrey Hepburn spoke in more of a Cockney accent, very broken words, did not articulate and enunciate her words. Professor Higgins was a linguistic professor that taught people how to speak properly. So that was the challenge. And one of the phrases in there they used is the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. That was one of the speaking exercises. So British take the way they speak very seriously, even though that was back, I think that musical came out back in the 50s. British people still pride themselves in the way that they speak. So there are a couple of takeaways that we can learn from the British in order to speak beautifully and to enunciate, enunciate and articulate each word. This is important because the way you come across, the way your voice comes across when you're cold calling makes all the difference in the world. If you speak in a timid manner and kind of mumble through the conversation, you will not be taken seriously. Now, you can up your game by learning how to speak more articulate and learning how to enunciate your words so you sound beautifully too, like the British. And let me give you an example. In the USA, we have a tendency not to pronounce a word completely. We just let the word trail off. And here's an example. We say private, 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 private. We don't articulate the T at all. The same with present, present, present. We don't say the T at all. The British say private. Can you hear the T? Private instead of the US way, private. Big difference when you're listening, especially over the phone. That's one of the reasons why the British sound so beautifully, because they enunciate and articulate every syllable and word and letter of that word. The other thing that they do, and this is taught in singing lessons and it's taught in speech lessons, to open your mouth wider when you're speaking. We in America have a tendency to keep our mouth more closed. And as I said, we let the last syllable of the word kind of trail off. If you would open your mouth larger and speak like you should, by rounding your mouth and opening your mouth, your words can be enunciated and articulated much better. So the other clue that the British do is they slow down their speech so each word is pronounced perfectly. So keep these tips in mind. The next time you're in a sales conversation, practice it over the phone with your friends. Slow down your speech, enunciate, articulate each word, sounding each syllable, and open your mouth wider when you speak so that you're not sounding so mumbly. Okay? Now, a few other things that you should keep in mind, and that is eliminate filler words. Okay, filler words like okay is one. Uh, like. Typically, what people do when they are trying to think about what's the next thing to say, they may say or or the worst is like. I was talking to this man like a few minutes ago. Instead of, I was talking to this man a few minutes ago. It's okay to pause. Pausing is fine. So many times we are uncomfortable when a pause happens. But all a pause means is that the person that's pausing is recalculating in their mind, they're rethinking or trying to put to words their thoughts. Give them a moment to pause and let them recollect their thoughts so they can start speaking again. When you interrupt that by jumping in, then you interrupt their thought process. A pause is not a bad thing. Always, I call it the 5-second rule. Wait 5 seconds when someone pauses before you come back and ask a question. It could be all they're doing is recollecting their thoughts. Give them the space to do that. The other thing I suggest that you do to speak more beautifully is to eliminate slang. Oh my gosh, I can't count the times that people have referred to me as a dude. Now, I understand that everyone is trying to sound more, I guess the best word to call it is hip in today's world. And that is the problem that bothers me so much about society now is since the lockdowns, people's dress has disintegrated into something I clean my house in and would never dare walk out of the house and go to the grocery store that way. People have, especially women, I've noticed, no longer are wearing makeup that much. I don't understand that. Makeup enhances your beauty. It doesn't detract from your beauty if you know how to do it correctly. But as a result of all of this downgrading in society, we've let our language downgrade as well. And you probably heard my Savvy Sales Lady live last week, keeping it classy, not trashy. It has shocked me how many people are cursing when they're posting on LinkedIn and when they're responding to posts on LinkedIn. I don't think there's any room for curse words at all. I have heard some influencers say they use curse words, especially the F bomb, in order to disrupt, uh, interrupt, or to make a strong point. Matter of fact, there was an article written, a prominent newspaper, about how using the F bomb is a good thing because it expresses emotion. I don't know that we have to express emotion all the time. We're more than our feelings, everyone. But especially when we're talking about sales, in a sales conversation or in cold calling, eliminate the slang such as dude, cool, or props for that. You know what I'm talking about. Just eliminate the slang. What that tells the buyer is you're a little immature. Sorry, but that's my feeling. It just sounds like you're a little immature. Also, when you're speaking, speak more formally. Instead of saying, hi, Sally, say, hello, Sally. No one says hello anymore. And that takes me to another etiquette. I don't care if you're pulling up to the drive through at McDonald's, at least have the common courtesy to tell the person that's taking your money hello, or good morning, or good afternoon. They're not expecting that. They're expecting the other person to be rude to them. That's why they rarely ever look at you when they tell you $2.99. They don't want any interaction with the public because, for the most part, the public is rude. I know this to be true. My son, who just switched jobs to his dream job, yay, he worked for a franchise and he was always telling me, it doesn't matter how nice I am, Mom, they're so rude back. I believe him. I absolutely believe him. So give the people that are working in these jobs a break. I don't care if they are being rude. You be the one that gives them kindness that day because I guarantee you they've gotten very little of it. You be the one to be kind. So when you're out and about, say hello, say good morning, say good afternoon. These are just basic common courtesies. And remember to recap when you're doing sales calls and conversations, articulating and enunciating your words are so needed when, especially when you're on the telephone. There can be all kinds of disruptions on that phone call. So be sure to enunciate your words, articulate, speak slowly, eliminate filler words, eliminate slang, and always say hello, and be on your guard at all times to show common courtesies and common kindness. There is no room in our language to cuss, none whatsoever. Always be classy and savvy when selling. And remember, sales is a journey, not a quick trip around the block. Practice these things over and over again. I have a lisp, and it becomes even more noticeable when I get tired at night. One time, just a quick story. This just happened a few weeks ago. My son called me at night to ask my advice on something. Well, actually, he asked my advice how to handle this interview for his dream job that he was going for. And he said to me, he knows I don't drink much, but I was really tired. And when I lisp, it sounds like I'm slurring my words a little bit. So he said, he got concerned and he said, Ma, did you have a stroke? And I started laughing so hard. And I was like, no, thank you for your concern. Thanks for your concern, honey. But no, I did not have a stroke. I'm just tired and I'm lisping. I start sounding like Sylvester the cat slobbering all over myself. So thank the dear Lord if you don't have a lisp. And until we meet next week, practice all of these things. You know, it just takes time. Practice, practice, just like you need to practice before you pick up that phone and make a call. All right, see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.